of Canada. Hey guys, I realize I don't do my introduction in all my videos, and of course every video you have a new viewer, so let's do this for the culture. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chioma, aka Chilo. I'm a Nigerian currently living and studying in Japan, and on my channel I vlog about my life as a foreign student in Japan and study abroad video, like a mini series study abroad video. And that's because I'm obviously studying abroad and on a fully funded program, so I'm doing the series to also help people who have little to no information about studying abroad on a budget. Guys, I have done a whole lot of countries. If you check my scholarship playlist, you will see Finland, you will see Germany, you will see America, Australia and all. But one particular country that feels like, because I have not done it, so many of you are always like, I hope you're not about to stop this series without doing Canada. No guys, I am not. And I completely understand why Canada has a whole lot of, will I say, aspiration or whatever. It's for very obvious reasons, right? When you're talking about countries that have favorable immigration policies at the moment in the world, definitely Canada has to be on that list, and so I completely understand it. And of course, when you're also talking about ways to first of all go to a country, education is definitely on that list. And the honest truth is that I have been on the lookout for someone to do this video with me. I didn't just want anybody. I wanted someone who would be able to cover the scope of both going to study and then transitioning into a permanent residence, because I know that over 80% of people that are interested in studying in Canada are also considering transitioning after their arrival. So guys, that is the reason why this video is coming now. Enough of this long introduction. The thing is, I finally found someone. Prayers are working, guys. I finally found someone in the person of Ada. Ada is like, she's a seasoned speaker. Like, she has so much information about Canada. She went there to study and then transitioned into being a permanent resident. So I was like, there is no better person to do me this, like to cover this whole scope than Ada. She has a whole YouTube channel about Canada, immigration, permanent residency and all that. I'll put her channel name on the screen and the link in the description box. Guys, after this video, I want you guys to go and bombard Ada on her channel. Tell her you're from Chilo Talks. Like, watch the videos. If you're really interested in this Canada thing, then you should definitely subscribe and watch her videos. Enough of the rambling, enough of the introduction. Let's get right into this video and meet our amazing guest.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Nikki, aka Ada Canada. First of all, I just want to say thank you to Chioma for letting me come speak on your platform. Thank you for granting me this interview. Thank you for just having me come on your channel. Yeah, so I really appreciate, your efforts and working together with you to make this video happen. So I'm a student, I make YouTube videos, and I also do some photography as well. And I just want to say that Canada is a very beautiful country. There is a lot of diversity here, and that's one of the things I love so much about Canada. Like, you meet different people from all over the world, and there is so much diversity in terms of the people, the kinds of people that you meet here. People from different cultures, people from different backgrounds, so you don't have to be worried about whether you'll find Africans or whether you find Nigerians or whether you find Chinese or whether you find, you will find somebody that is from your country in Canada. So education is top notch, like it's high up the ladder and it's at par with world class. What is attainable at world class? So especially when it comes to research, right? Research is very good. Research, like doing a postgraduate degree by research, it's very good. If you're worried about education, you don't have to be worried about the education system. And it's a place to be, it's a place to study, it's a place to pursue your dreams, it's a place to, you know, your dreams are valid here. You can be anything you want to do, you can achieve anything, you can do anything, even if you have to rewrite your story. Again, is with regards to transition, you can easily transition. So Canada is not like some of all these other countries whereby when you're done with your studies you're required to go back to your home country. No, you can definitely stay back and do whatever it is you want to do. You can stay back and get a job and start working. You can from there transition into permanent residency, from there transition into becoming a citizen. Like, one thing that helps the economy of Canada so much is immigration, right? They let a lot of people come in because immigration contributes heavily to the Canadian economy. So yeah, it's really a very beautiful place. Even if you want to raise your kids, if it's a place you're considering or thinking of moving to, don't think, just apply and move to Canada. That's what I always tell people, just apply and move to Canada.
Thank you so much, Ada, for that introduction. Like, we are all going to go and see what Canada looks like on your channel after this video. So now let's talk about Canada, because I mean, that's why we are here, right? So Ada, please tell us, like, if someone wants to come to Canada now, you know, to study especially, like, what should the person do first? Are there agents we need to use, you know, websites we have to visit, exams that needs to be taken, and all those kind of things? Like, what is the process like generally if we want to come to Canada, if people want to come to Canada, either to study or maybe some other things? Please, can you just literally just tell us how the process works?
So for the process of coming to study in Canada, what I always tell people, I have a video that's up on my channel where I've talked about this. So for the process of coming to study in Canada, you need to give yourself 1 year from the dates that you intend to start studying in Canada. And that's what I always tell people, because it takes a long time to process admission and to process study visa. So even in some schools' websites, you know, they have it there in the international student section, apply a year ahead of time. You know, international applicants are encouraged to apply a year ahead of time because it takes a long time. So for example, if you plan to come into Canada to study in September 2021, which is the fall semester and which is the semester where you have a lot of international students that come in to study, you have to start applying since last year, September 2020 or October 2020, depending on when the admission window opens. And for you to even apply, that means you must have started planning, you know, the schools that you want to apply to. And if you're interested in doing like postgraduate studies by research, you must have reached out to the supervisors that you want to supervise your thesis, right? You must have reached out to them even before it's time for you to apply or before the application window opens. So it takes 1 year for things to pull through with regards to studying in Canada. So you have to start applying 1 year ahead of time. And the reason it's 1 year is because generally across the entire nation, Canadian schools take a very long time to process admissions. On average, it's anywhere from 4 months, 5 months, even 6 months. So some schools will take as long as 6 months to process admissions before they can issue out admission decisions on whether they are giving admission or not. So when you factor in 4 to 6 months that you have to spend waiting for an admission decision, and then when you factor in maybe like 2, 3, 4 months waiting for a visa, you see that when you add everything up, it's almost close to 1 year. And it's, you know, it's advisable to start early so that you have everything on ground, and then you're able to come to school by latest, say August, to start school in September with your peers. And then with regards to using agents, personally, I don't know of any agents that do admission processing or like help applicants to submit applications. I didn't use an agent when I was applying during my time. I applied myself. And I always tell people that if you're going to use an agent, just make sure that this agent is verified. Make sure the agent is genuine, because we have a growing number of cases of fraud, you know, a growing number of cases of people getting swindled, people getting duped on the idea of coming to Canada. And so I always tell people, if you can apply yourself, all you need is internet connection and your laptop, right? Because you can't use your mobile phone to apply, and also to do your research well. But then if you must use an agent, make sure that it's someone that is trusted, and make sure that it's someone that is genuine. And with regards to ielts, again, it depends on the school and it depends on your program. There are some schools that require ielts from applicants coming from certain countries, right? And then there are some other schools that have what they call an exemption list. So an exemption list is like the school recognizing that there are certain countries where the lingua franca and the method of instruction in the educational setting is English. For example, in the United States or the United Kingdom or Australia, for example, right? The method of instruction is in English. So usually those countries will be in the exemption list. There are some other countries that are included as well, just due to the fact that previous instances where applicants coming from these countries speak English and were taught in English as well. So a lot of schools tend to have exemption lists. I've seen some cases where different countries, Nigeria was even part of the list. There are some schools that don't require ielts, and for those schools, what you have to do is you don't need to submit any ielts result or any TOEFL or anything like that. But all you have to do is, even if a school says that they don't have the ielts requirements, you can send them an email and tell them that you are from so country and you studied in English, and then you provide a letter from the registrar or from like a higher authority in your school administration attesting to the fact that you were taught in English for your degree. Sometimes they usually grant it. When I was applying to my program didn't require ielts or TOEFL from any applicants coming from Nigeria. So there are quite a number of schools that don't have the ielts requirement. For example, University of Regina, University of Saskatchewan, University of Winnipeg, Carleton University. These are like some of the universities where like I know that there is no English language requirement, and I know this because I'm actually planning on making a video of schools that don't have ielts requirements on my YouTube channel. So yeah, that's that for ielts requirements. And then for possible websites to help, the best websites are usually websites belonging to the school. So for example, if you wish to attend University of Toronto, the best place you can get information will be in University of Toronto website, right? So those are the best websites that you can get like concrete current information. And if you don't understand anything, there is always an email address or a contact number that you can call or you can send email to make your inquiries. Another place where you can get information is from IRCC, which is Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada. But then IRCC is the governing body that's in charge of immigration, including study permits, permanent residency, citizenship, and anything that just involves immigration. So if you need information on study permit, processing time, like documents that you need to apply, those immigration forms that you have to fill out, then you can check the IRCC website for them as well.
Okay. Wow, now that was some very detailed explanation there, detailed and straight to the point. Thank you so much, Ada. Now I want to know, the thing is, in all my interviews I never fail to ask the common mistakes, because guys, I have also applied for so many things and I know how as little as a little information can application rather. Please tell us, what are the common mistakes you have seen people make when they are going through this whole process of coming over to Canada, of studying in Canada, of just literally what are the mistakes you have witnessed people make, that people can avoid them? Because there are several people watching me from around the world who are interested in Canada and may make this mistake if we don't talk about it.
Okay, so one common mistake off the top of my head, one common mistake that applicants make, this one is very, very specific to people who are coming in for research. So for example, masters by research or PhD, where you have to do research, like your work is basically research where you have to produce a thesis or a dissertation. So one common mistake that a lot of applicants make is when they are reaching out to potential supervisors in the schools that interest them, they just send a very empty email. That's why I call it. So an empty email is like if you're reaching out to someone academically, for example, you don't just send an email stating, hi, my name is this, please, I'm interested in this, I have a background in this, and I would like for you to supervise me and blah 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 so that I can apply for admission, right? And then after you have finished typing what is in the body of the email, there is no attachments that has your CV. There is no attachments that has anything to support you academically that you have done, or papers if you've published papers before. There is no, there is no statement of purpose or statement of interest, even, something concrete, right? So that is one mistake that a lot of people make. And when you make that mistake, you find out that the person you're addressing, the professor or the supervisor that you want to supervise you, like that potential supervisor, will not even respond to the email because it's empty. So what I always tell people is, if you are coming to do a research program and you have to reach out to a potential supervisor, please, when you have typed all you want to type in the body of the email, make sure your English is correct. Make sure your spelling is correct. But then most importantly, attach a CV, academic CV to that email. Attach a statement of interest. Attach a paper if you've published a paper before. If you've done, some research, anything you've done academically, that can at least tell the potential supervisor that you're serious. Then a second mistake that a lot of applicants make is they don't ask questions. They tend to assume things, right? I always tell people, don't be scared of asking questions. One of my instructors would tell me in class that the most stupid question is a question that is not even being asked, right? So I always tell people, if you don't understand anything, ask questions by sending an email. Like, they don't have any problem with you. If you have to bombard them with emails, do so as far as you understand. And that's what I do, right? So if you're searching through the website and you see something you don't understand in your department, send them an email. Most schools take on average 2 to 3 to 4 business days to give you a response or to get back to you. But the most important thing is that you will get a reply. You can even cluster the questions together, and this was what I did when I was doing my research, and I had many questions to ask from the various departments. I would cluster all my questions together. Sometimes in an email I will have like 5, 6, 7, even up to 10 questions, and I would number them one by one after the other, and I will send it in an email. And when they are replying, they are answering all my questions like one after the other, right? So don't be scared to ask questions. The third mistake that applicants make, this one has to do with the study visa. So I always tell people that when you're applying for your study visa and you're looking for a bank statement, right? So depending on what amount is in the bank statement, there is one immigration form, I think it's the main immigration study permit application form, where there is a section in that form where you have to declare your finances. So declaring your finances means there is a space where you have to put the amount for your tuition. There is a space where you have to put amount for books, accommodation, transport, miscellaneous expenses, feeding, right? When applicants are filling in that part of the form, they tend to put numbers that do not tally with what is in the bank statement, right? So if you total all the expenses, right, all the potential expenses, so like add up all the tuition, add up all the accommodation expenses, feeding, miscellaneous, and all of those things, even books, when you add up to give you that grand total, right, make sure that the bank statement has exactly that amount. For example, if everything is $30,000, so including your tuition, your accommodation for the duration of your studies, your feeding, your transport, miscellaneous, books, everything, if you are budgeting that, okay, it's $30,000 in total, right, make sure that your bank statement has the equivalent of 30,000 Canadian dollars, right? This is one thing that makes people get easily rejected in their study visa application, right? Because the numbers don't tally. The numbers are not the same. They have to be the same.
Wow, Omo, these are mistakes that anybody, like literally anybody, can make. Nobody is above mistakes. So now let's talk about something that this my channel is always very interested in. Let's talk about funding opportunities, scholarships, tuition waiver. Are there things like that people can tap into? People who want to study in Canada but have some financial constraints. Are there scholarships you will advise us to, or advise people to look into? Are there websites? Are there things that are put in place for people to ease the financial burden, especially those who are still back at home in their home country and want to come over to Canada? Please, if you have any of those, we are all ears.
Okay, so with regard to scholarship, there are a number of options that are available for potential applicants to ease financial burden. So one way of easing financial burden is by applying for or seeking out research assistantship positions or graduate assistantship positions, teaching assistantship positions, and this is specific to those who are doing masters by research. So if you're doing like a thesis based masters, this doesn't apply to course based masters. That's masters that is taught, they are teaching you in the class and all, right? You can like apply for a TA position or a GA or RA position with your supervisor, find out how it goes. There's good money that you can make to ease the financial burden off, and then another way is you can check out external scholarships. So for example, if there are external bodies that you can apply to for scholarships, you can do so, and then the money will just, if you succeed, the money will just be transferred over to your education. Again, another type of scholarship is merit scholarship. So the merit scholarship, just like the name merits, it's something that you merit, right? So you don't apply for this scholarship, and in order to qualify, you have to have like extremely outstanding grades to qualify for a merit scholarship. So your grades has to be like up there, high up the ladder for you to qualify for merit scholarships. You don't need to apply. Your department or your faculty or the school would select, right? So they will look at the applications, they will look at your results, and then they will do their nomination and selection. And with this type of scholarship, the decision is final. So if you are picked amongst the lucky number that is supposed to win the scholarship, they will notify you that you've been selected for a scholarship. Another type of scholarship is the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship, right? The MasterCard Foundation program. So MasterCard has partnered with 3 main universities in Canada, and those 3 universities happen to be the top universities in Canada, like the top 3, universities in Canada, right? So the schools are University of Toronto, McGill University, and University of British Columbia. So if you're applying to any of those 3 schools, explore MasterCard scholarship. And those are the only 3 schools that have partnered with MasterCard to provide full scholarship to international students coming into the country for studies, right? And it's full tuition. Accommodation is covered, feeding is covered, living expenses is covered, right? So it's everything covered. Again, there are certain scholarships that are given just based off of you being a citizen of a particular country, and this is because Canada has a special agreement with certain countries such that citizens from that country who want to apply to come and study in Canada can apply for that scholarship just by virtue of being a citizen. For example, Canada has an agreement with China, Canada has an agreement with Southeast Asia, Canada has agreements with Brazil, and also with Latin America, even with the Caribbean. So if you're a citizen of any one of these areas or countries, you can apply, explore the scholarships that are very specific to those regions, and then you can apply. There is also Study in Canada scholarships, whereby Canada has another type of agreement with a list of certain countries. There are a lot of African countries on that list, right? So again, it's another type of scholarship where applicants don't need to apply. The school itself will submit your names for consideration for that scholarship, and I don't know how many students they pick, but in the end they do their whole selection and nomination process, and then they award the scholarships to successful applicants. One important thing that I have to mention with regard to scholarships in Canada is many of these scholarships have one important factor that can make you stand out, and that is volunteering or community involvement. So if you are involved in any kind of volunteering, or if you have any kind of volunteering experience or community involvement, whether it is in your own community if you're outside of Canada, or if you're here inside of Canada, right? If you're involved in volunteering, if you have experience in volunteering and you can provide proof and demonstrate it, right, it stands you out.
Wow, thank you so much. That is some very good information, because I mean, not everybody can afford to sponsor themselves. Now, see, I always say this, it's definitely one thing to get admission, scholarship, but I've heard of so many visa denials to different countries, even on fully funded. So after all this is done, after getting scholarship or after getting admission and all those things, how is the visa process like? When you want to come to Canada, how is the visa process like? How are Canadians to foreigners? How is life generally in Canada? How is getting a job in Canada? These are questions that a whole lot of times people are really interested in knowing before taking that step, or before having that conviction. Generally, how is Canada? Like, how is Canada treating you, if I must say so myself?
Okay, so for the visa process depends on your home country, where you're applying from. But generally, when you get admission into any school in Canada, they will send you the official admission letter, and then there is another document that they will send you, and this document has a list of things. So it's going to have like the amount of tuition that you're supposed to pay. It's going to have the DLI number, which is the designated learning institution number, and some other important documents that are in, and some other important information that are in that document. So you will need that document to apply for your study visa. So when you have the admission letter and when you have that extra document that they will provide from the school, you can go ahead to start applying. Now, I have a video that I have a video where I have talked about visa process. It was kind of like a personal story, but I talked about the visa process in that video, and I'm going to mention it again. So when you're applying for Canada study visa, there are 3 things involved, and this is just my own personal take on it, just based on my own experience. There are 3 main things involved, 3 main things that you have to do when you're applying for Canada study visa. The first one is getting a bank statement from your sponsor. The second is filling the immigration forms, and I'm stressing the S there because there are so many immigration forms to fill. And the third one is paying the application fees, at either online or at the visa application center. So for the first one, this one, it tends to take time, just depending, but you have to get a bank statement. So you can use your parents or your auntie or uncle, just whoever you are getting a bank statement from, right? Make sure that there is a letter that is accompanying that bank statement, and the letter is supposed to have it's supposed to be able to explain your relationship with that sponsor and why the sponsor is helping you with the bank statement. The second part, which is kind of very stressful, is filling out the immigration forms. There are so many forms involved when you're applying for a study visa. So in the IRCC has all the forms that you need to apply for the study visa. Again, IRCC is Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, right? So that is the main body, the main governing body that is in charge of immigration, whether it's for study permit or permanent residency or anything of that nature, right? So in the IRCC website, or rather on the IRCC website, you will find all the immigration forms that you need to fill for the study visa, and there are quite a number of them. So you will fill the forms Try to be as accurate as possible. Try not to make mistakes. Always make sure that the information you are filling in the visa form tallies with all the credentials and the evidence and the proof and the bank statement you are providing. Make sure nothing is amiss. The third step, pay the visa application fees. You can either pay online or you can pay it at the visa application center. So there are some countries that have Canadian embassies that will process visa applications, but there are some other countries that have approved designated visa application centers across the world, depending on where you're from. For example, I'm from Nigeria and we don't have a Canadian embassy here. So if you're applying for a study visa, you have to submit your documents and your application forms at the visa application center, which is either in Lagos or in Abuja. So those are the only two places that I know of currently. I don't know if they've opened other branches. The processing time, it varies depending on where you're applying from, that is your home country, and also from individual to individual. So I find that if you go to the IRCC, there is a place that you will go to find out how long application processing takes if you're from a particular country. On average, it's about 12 weeks or maybe 2 to 3 months on average, depending. Now, Canada is very welcoming of foreign individuals. Like I said before, this country thrives a lot on immigration because immigration contributes a lot to the economy. And with regards to living in Canada, again, it depends on where you are. It depends on the province that you're going to, right? Accommodation is not very standard across the nation. It kind of fluctuates and varies. There are places where the standard of living is higher because of the provincial tax, that is the provincial tax that the province has, or the province charges, right? So for example, in the city where I am, the standard of living is relatively lower compared to, say, for example, Vancouver or British Columbia or Toronto. For applicants coming into Canada, I always tell them explore options outside of the school hostel or the dormitories, right? So the dormitories are more expensive than just your standard apartment building. They are so much more expensive, a lot more expensive. So, and then when it comes to getting a job, I like to think that getting a job kind of depends on your experience and also what you studied in school. Not all professions do well. I'm sorry to say, but not all professions do well. There are some professions that are more in demand currently, especially in this pandemic situation that we're in. There are some professions that are more in demand over others. So getting a job, yes, you can get a job, but then what kind of job do you want to get, right? That's the question. And, answering that question depends on your background. It depends on what you studied. It depends on your experience, right? It depends on what you can bring to the table. You can get a job, right? I'm not saying you can't get a job. You can definitely get a job and you will get a job. It's just that some professions are more in demand over others.
Thank you so much for thus far. Now, congratulations, girl, on your permanent residency. Like, I watched your video. That's some amazing stuff right there. So I think you're in a good position to answer this question. Now, what is it like to transition? Like, what's the process like to transition from being a student to a permanent resident after studying, obviously, right? Also, is it expensive? How long did the process take, or how long does the process take? Then, what are the things people should keep in mind if this is something that they are considering? They are coming to study, yes, but in the process of their studying, they want to also consider transitioning or applying to be a PR, like a permanent resident. What will be your advice? What's the process like? What will be your advice generally to people who actually have this in mind, but they are coming over to study for the first instance?
Okay, so you've come into Canada as an international student for at least 1 year if you're doing a course-based master's program, or 2 years or 3 years if you're doing thesis-based master's or PhD respectively, and you have successfully finished your educational program. Now you want to stay back. The first thing you need to do before you can even begin to think of permanent residency is to get a work permit. So towards the end of your program, start looking at the requirements for a work permit, and you can know these requirements by checking the IRCC website. So within 1 month, try to apply for your work permit. Within 1 month of graduating, try to apply for your work permit, because usually the expiry date of your study permit depends, right? So some people will have maybe an extra 3 months after graduation. Work permits, it doesn't take anything. What the documents that you need to submit, they are not much. When you submit and you pay, processing usually takes 1 month. However, with the current situation with the pandemic, things have kind of slowed down with respect to immigration. Any aspect you're looking at, whether it's study permit or work permit, right, things have slowed down a bit, so it may or may not take longer than a month. So when you get that work permit, you can try to get a job. If you don't have any job experience from your home country, all you need is 1 year of work experience with a current employer, right? So if you get a job with, say, a particular company, right, stay with them for 1 year, as long as they can provide the necessary attestation or documents needed to support your application for permanent residency. Stay with them for 1 year and then apply for permanent residency. If you have work experience from your home country, significant work experience, then once you get that work permit, once you get a job, just apply for the permanent residency. You can use a federal skilled worker program to apply. The next step to do is to do an evaluation of your credentials via WES. So if you've had like a previous degree from outside of Canada, you will need to have that degree and the transcripts also from that degree, from that program you studied. You need to have them evaluated by World Education Services Canada. That one usually takes 35 business days, and you can find out more information on West Canada website. So once you have that credential evaluation done, then you have to take the English proficiency exam. TOEFL is not among the list of approved English proficiency test results that you will use for permanent residency. So you can take the ielts exam, you can take CELPIP, you can take TEF, and there's another one. You do these 2 things first, your credential evaluation and English language proficiency, and then you can now apply for permanent residency by getting into the CRS ranking pool. And then once you're in the pool, they do a draw. And if they do a draw, whatever score they pick as the cutoff, anybody who scores that particular score or above will get a formal invitation to apply for permanent residency. Getting permanent residency is easy, but it just takes time and you have to be very patient with it. When you get the invitation to apply, there are further directives on what you do and any extra documents that you have to submit to the federal government, and then they assess it. If you're applying for permanent residency from Canada, it usually takes 3 to 6 months to process. So it takes 3 to 6 months to process. However, again, I don't know how long it takes now, especially with the pandemic. With regards to cost, it costs quite a fair amount of money to apply for permanent residency. And what I always advise people is, when you're applying for when you graduate from school and you get a job, start saving money, start putting money down, so that once that 1 year period is up and it's time for you to start applying, you can easily just bring out the money from your savings without wasting any time. On average, you need about $2,500 as an individual on average, plus or minus. So it could be more, it could be less. Okay, once again, thank you so much, so much, Chioma, for having me come speak on your channel. And I hope that we get to do this again sometime soon.
of Canada. Thank you so much, Ada. This was one very powerful interview. Guys, if you are really interested in Canadian stuff, please, I will advise you head over to Ada's channel. You can also drop your questions in the comment section of this video. Ada is going to answer them as much as she can. Also check out her YouTube channel. The link is in the description box below. Ask her questions. Just tell her you're from Chilo Talks. I'm sure she's going to answer you and all those stuff. Thank you so much, Ada. It was such an amazing time I spent with you, and I don't take it for granted. I wish you all the best. Congratulations once again. So guys, thank you so much for watching.
All right, bye.